So in February of 2023, I put together the initial part of this PowerPoint and then just assumed that I recorded the video and put it on the Proteus channel. And it turns out I never did, near as I can tell. And so here's me making a brand new video and updating some of the content in here. What are we doing today? Today's video is titled Refutation Revisited Beyond Button. And this is a lecture about the new and I would say more advanced, potentially more useful or more, accurate model of refutation that I tend to teach students at all levels now. And for those of you who are familiar with Proteus, you'll know that button is our sort of beginner model for answering arguments. That Sasan came up with in 2014 when he was writing the Kasravi counter-argument manifesto. And button is no brink, non-unique, link turn, impact turn, outweighs, and no link. And super useful. And honestly, that'll win you like 98% of debates, maybe even more of them. But I wanted to come up with sort of what I would consider a grounded, more universal model of refutation. And Sasan has since moved, he still uses button, but he's moved away into a simplified version. Mine's the exact opposite. I would say it's more complicated, but I think it does capture so much of what refutation is about. And so we're going to go ahead and get into what I call algebraic analysis or algebraic refutation. And I'll explain why it's called that. So, thesis. In policy-style debate, the standard affirmative and negative positions are referred to as advantages and disadvantages, respectively. At their core, these positions all say the same thing. Doing X will cause Y, where X is an advocacy and Y is an impact. We'll also be using Z as a variable, which will indicate a competing impact. And so, the premise of this, the starting point, is that debate, especially policy debate, but technically K-debate too, can be boiled down to doing X will cause Y. And that's where we get this sort of idea of algebraic analysis or algebraic refutation. My contention is that given that we can simplify advantages and disadvantages down to this statement, it allows us to derive all possible refutations into algebraic statements of their own. But crucially, and this is the most interesting thing about this, if you understand this idea that debate is premised on doing X will cause Y, then it doesn't matter if you know anything about debate. You should be able to tell me all of these kinds of refutation statements. And I've proven this many times because I teach this not only to my novices and whatnot eventually in competitive debate, but I teach this in my argumentation or debate class, which is just a general education class with students who have no interest in doing debate. And I've many, many times sort of just written this statement on the board, doing X will cause Y, and then sat there with the students for half an hour or so until they came up with the other algebraic statements that I've revealed here just by thinking about it for a while. And obviously with a little bit of prodding and guidance, but I think this is grounded theory, so to speak. I think this is just how refutation does work. Let's get right into it. Got this organized to beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. You might disagree with where things are placed. This is how I would do it. Teach it however you want. It's just based on, I have a document I've never released to the public that is called, I think, Paul Villa's Ultimate Simplified Debate Starter Guide or something. It's like 35 pages of everything I think matters in debate, basically. And that document tends to be organized in the same manner of like beginner, intermediate, advanced, because obviously my students are all at different levels. Anyway, let's start with the statements. Remember, our initial statement is doing X will cause Y. X is the advocacy, generally the plan. Y is the impact, and Z, when it is necessary, is a competing impact. So like the impact of a dissent or something. First statement, X will not cause Y. Doing the plan will not cause the impact. That is obviously a no link. Second statement, X will increase or decrease the likelihood of Y. That's what we know as a link turn. Y is already happening. That is non-unique. The impact already exists in the status quo and is therefore not unique to and only to the plan. And then lastly, Z matters more than Y. Again, Z is a competing impact, and Y is your impact, so this is an outweighs argument. And now that we've seen these statements, let's sort of look at applying this. So here's our setup. The affirmative case is resolution, the United States federal government should increase the minimum wage. Plan, the United States federal government should increase the minimum wage to $20 per hour. The negative case, this is their disadvantage. Business confidence. Uniqueness, currently business confidence has bounced back but remains tenuous in typos. But as the economy continues to recover from the effects of the pandemic, this was from a dissent from 2021, I think. Link, the plan passes and increases the minimum wage to $20 per hour. Internal link, low wages are key to sustaining small businesses. They were uniquely hurt by the pandemic and represent nearly 40% of U.S. businesses and exist on razor-thin margins as is. Impact, economic collapse causes massive poverty and suffering. So plan, increase minimum wage, disad, that hurts small businesses, collapse business confidence, economic collapse, so on and so forth. Let's see how we would apply these statements that we previously went over to this situation. So, beginner examples. When we say X will not cause Y, which once again was our no link example. According to CNN in 2021, there is no connection between increases to the minimum wage and reductions in small businesses. Link term. X will increase/decrease the likelihood of Y. Increases to minimum wage bolster small businesses. It means regular people have more spending money so they can shop more. Y is already happening, which was our non-unique. Small businesses are already collapsing in the status quo. The most recent report from the Department of Commerce shows small businesses have shrunk for 3 consecutive months. And then Z matters more than Y, which of course is our outweighs. Our impact of reducing homelessness outweighs your impact of small economic collapse. Okay, those are all the beginner examples. Let's move on to the next level. Intermediate level. We have these statements. First, Y will happen regardless of if X occurs or not. So the impact will happen regardless of the plan. That is an inevitability claim. Other things will cause Y. That is an alternative cause claim. There are alternative causes to the impact. We are so far from Y that X is too weak/small to cause Y. That is uniqueness overwhelms the link /no break. Y doesn't matter that much or is denied. That is impact defense, so mitigation of the impact. So, same deal. Intermediate examples. Statement. Y will happen, it says no regardless of the plan occurring. Did the last one say that too? It didn't. I don't know why it says that. It should just say Y will happen regardless of the plan occurring. The example being economic collapse will happen no matter what. Capitalism itself guarantees regular economic crisis. That is our inevitability claim. Other things will cause Y. Inflation is an alternative cause. It is at record highs, and economists have indicated we are headed for economic collapse as a result. That is our alternative causes. We are so far from Y that X is too weak/small to cause Y. The economy is doing so well that there is no risk of small businesses going under and causing an economic collapse as a result of a small change to the minimum wage. That is our no break. Or unique overwhelms link, either one. Y doesn't matter that much or is denied. Economic collapse happens all the time. The U.S. has had over 40 of them in the last 100 years and bounced back stronger every time. That is our impact defense. So now that we've done the intermediate examples, let's look at the advanced level. Y should have already happened if X is sufficient to cause it. This is empirically denied or the link has been tested. Y is actually good or bad. That's an impact term. Y ought not be considered in debate. That is a frame out. And Z determines whether Y will happen. That is sequencing. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, like, what? Impact turn's simple. It's in button. Why is it in advance? Impact turns definitely aren't simple, in my opinion. It's very hard to actually win an impact turn debate. You're putting a lot of eggs in one basket. You are conceding that, like, the advantage happens and the impact happens. You're just trying to win that it's bad. Potentially difficult. Advanced level, in my opinion. Most people don't go for impact turns. Let's look at our examples. Y should have already happened if X is sufficient to cause it. The link has already been tested. The minimum wage has increased over a dozen times, and it has not once caused small businesses to close down and trigger an economic collapse. It is therefore empirically denied. The link has been tested. Y is actually good or bad. Economic collapse is good. It's the only way to slow down climate change and buy us time to prevent extinction. That's our impact term. Y ought not be considered in debate. Economic collapse is bourgeois propaganda. Don't listen to their lies. Classic cat frame out. Z determines whether Y will happen. And again, remember, Z is a competing impact. Failing to empower women economically guarantees an economic collapse. The WHO found that the number one indicator of stable economies is the economic freedom of women, and women uniquely work minimum wage jobs. That is our sequencing argument. So that is all of the algebraic analysis. That is all of the examples of the algebraic analysis. And again, obviously in theory, you folks know most of these kinds of arguments. But what I'm trying to get you to do is think about refutation differently. Think about refutation as a consequence of a breakdown in logic to a certain degree, right? That there is a function that is happening as it pertains to x and y, where x is the action and y is the impact, and again, z is competing impact or whatever. But the problem that I find most students have and where they struggle with refutation is they know the term link turn, and maybe they even know how to make a few link turns, but they don't understand the function of a link turn or what it is a link turn is doing, what premise of the other team it is denying potentially, and therefore how to apply it more universally and in every single instance. And so, if you've enjoyed Button, that's fantastic. I've enjoyed Button for a long time, and I'm certainly not saying you should stop using Button, but hopefully this helps you go just a bit beyond the sort of Button understanding and move into potentially a more nuanced or a more effective, more universally applicable understanding of how refutation works. I hope you folks are having a wonderful summer, and I'll talk to you soon.